welcome into the Voice of Reason, hour number 2 of the Voice of Reason right here on the Big Talker, 1480 on the AM side, 102.5 on the FM side, KQAM. Hey, it's great to have you along. It's great to be with you on a Friday, on a free-for-all Friday, and I know you're excited about it here. 7 minutes past the hour, 60 degrees already. Woo! Here in Wichita, Kansas. Kind of a beautiful day, is it not?
It's hot!
It's hot! That's the way we roll. 721-8255, 721-TALK. If you want to join into the program, I'd love to hear from you today on a free-for-all Friday. Robin Lace rocking in studio with us. How are you today?
I'm fantastic. How are you?
Hey, we're just making it happen.
Doing
the thing.
Doing the thing.
Now, this hour, 7 o'clock hour, every Friday, you come in here.
What's wrong with you two?
Oh my gosh. I almost forgot it. Hold on here. There we go. There we go. We got
Lord.
this.
Hey. What is wrong with you guys?
We got it.
I almost look like a Secret Service agent
You
now.
do
You
now.
do. That's scary.
Right. We've got I feel like a Trump right now.
That's right.
Oh, God.
So it's going to be big league.
Yeah.
It's going to be great. Now,
Oh, man.
Huge.
the 7 o'clock hour every Friday with Robin Lace is a time we always look forward to. Now, Robin, you're the one, just to let all the listeners know, you're the one that finds the guests for this hour.
Yeah, I do.
You're the one that finds the topic for this hour.
Yeah, I do.
And you're
So
the
if
one
they want to get mad at somebody, they can get mad at me. I'll just put it out there. How's that?
No,
Yeah.
I'm not
No, I'm
saying
kidding.
that. No,
Go ahead.
No,
It's
but I'm
all
saying,
me, man.
No, I'm saying that this hour
Yeah.
is where you get to find the guests and get to bring them in and get that discussion because it goes along with the real life, real people TV show that you have,
Right.
And it kind of coincides with that. So. This is the radio version of essentially kind of that show with some of the discussions that you have. So it's so this is that, and you actually have a guest on the line with us this morning as well.
Yes, I want to get right to him. Dr. Bob, you still with us?
Yes, I am.
All right. Well, I was last Friday. I was not here in the studio. I was in Garden City for the one of the preliminary hearings, pre-trial hearings for Shauna Banda case, the Kansas going after this wonderful mother, in my opinion, and they want to put her in prison for 30 years. Dr. Bob, I'm going to turn this over to you at this point. You can give us a little bit more education on maybe the case and the fact that you are a medical expert and you've been approved in court after court after court. In fact, you won a recent case here in Kansas for Shauna. Can you bring us into that and introduce yourself, where you're from, and all that?
All right. Well, my name is Dr. Bob Millamy. People know me as Dr. Bob.
Yeah.
And I am now retired living in Vermont. I had been for, I think, about 12 years in Colorado Springs, where I, for 5 of those years, was chairman of the biology department. And I've been a cannabis activist for years because, unfortunately, we are, as a society, been grossly misled and remain very ignorant as to the unique potential of that plant to tap in a very harmonious fashion to the way our bodies would naturally work. And in doing that, they can promote health.
Correct.
Shona discovered that when she was dying from terminal Crohn's disease. Crohn's disease is a gut inflammation. And as it gets worse and worse, your gut literally rots away, and you're no longer able to absorb food, and you're in chronic pain, and you have problems, with passage in general. So she was in a true terminal state, and cannabis oil she discovered and brought her back. And the reason for that is the reason why we have such a literally international awakening going on at this point regarding the medical and health benefits of cannabis. And what makes it so special is that we all make marijuana-like compounds. They're known as endocannabinoids. And the amazing but absolutely true observation that's been discovered over about the past, since about the late 1980s, early 1990s, was that we have this endocannabinoid system, and that it literally regulates everything in our body from conception until death. And by everything, I mean our immune system, digestive system, cardiovascular system, skin, bones, reproductive system, everything. So everybody is using the equivalent of cannabis all day long, every day, every instant of their life. And the most obvious example would be that every time somebody gets hungry, they get hungry because their body makes some pot, and they give themselves the munchies. So in reality, what this plant does, in all aspects, is simply to imitate and tweak what the endocannabinoid system normally does. So that manifests itself in an incredible array of illnesses that can be touched on and, in fact, improved through the consumption of cannabis, either by smoking or vaping or eating or topical. It's just absurd. We live in a medically oriented society here that unfortunately is based on false science. And that's really what the problem is here. The amount of money and the disruption that is going to happen through the national and international continued use of cannabis as the global awakening, the cannabis awakening continues to spread. It has no lethal dose, so unlike aspirin, for example, where it's got what's known as a therapeutic index of 15. You take 2 and you get rid of your pain. You take 30 and maybe you die from bleeding stomach.
Right.
Cannabis, they estimate that the therapeutic index is 40,000 to 1.
Wow.
This is ludicrous.
Right.
You know, you can't consume enough to die. It's easier to drink too much water and die, as somebody did in a water drinking contest last year, than it is you could not consume enough cannabis to reach that point.
Exactly.
So we're in a crazy situation because the foundation of the pharmaceutical industry is really what they call the double-blind study. That's what they call the gold standard. And just because somebody defines it as the gold standard doesn't mean there's any reality associated with it.
Actually, that's very true. That's so true.
You know, we give too much credence to the doctors and the pharmaceutical companies because we believe that they're trying to do things to improve our health. Unfortunately, that really has not been the motivation of the FDA and the associated pharmaceutical industry. And the doctors, they've been miseducated, so they go along with it. I believe certainly most doctors go into the profession trying to help people, and they don't understand that really what they're doing so often is actually harming people.
Right.
Because when you're using pharmaceuticals that are not part of life, and that's really the big thing that has occurred because of our technological expertise, we've been able to generate incredible arrays of novel chemical compounds, and we've been able to mass screen them for different types of activities against cancers, for example. But what is missing from that equation is the fact that these chemicals are not part of life's flow.
Right.
And as a consequence, we in ourselves don't have the biochemical machinery that makes those chemicals, and we don't have the biochemical machinery that breaks them down. So what we know about them is that, in some study they were shown to have an effect on whatever the indication was. However, right there already we start to see the deceit, because what people are told and what is scientifically accurate, for example, that this new drug, whatever it might be, has been shown to have a significant effect on a particular illness. Well, what do they mean by a significant effect? They mean a statistically significant effect, which may mean something you never even notice or observe, but it's still statistically significant. A prime example, I remember when I first started to realize how insane things were, they were testing a drug for MS, and it was approved because they found that it statistically had a significant impact. Well, what did that translate to in the real world? It meant that every 10 days you had the equivalent of 1 piss less at night. In other words, 1/10 of a piss per night. And you're taking some expensive, overpriced pharmaceutical with God knows what side effects, because you don't know how it taps into the living system. We only know what was examined. And that's why all of these pharmauticals typically over time and dosing reveal side effects that are typically not promoting health.
Exactly. In Shauna's case... go ahead.
Yeah. Well, go ahead.
In Shauna's case, and in Kansas in particular, obviously we don't have legal cannabis opportunities. And in Shauna's case, it's a do-or-die situation, correct?
Yes, it is,
Okay.
because her gut will literally continue to rot away. There are numerous peer-reviewed scientific papers for those who don't believe human beings. This is the thing that really, has my goat, so to speak. Is here we are in this allegedly free society, And we hear the citizens, who are the determining factor of a democracy or a republic, however you want to, nitpick the details of what we are. But the reality is, it should ultimately always be the voice of the people.
Exactly.
In whatever construct you have. Mm-hmm. And unfortunately, in this case, the people have been so often ignorant in this biology in general and the specifics of the endocannabinoid system. But the ignorance at this point is literally killing people, mm-hmm. including themselves.
Exactly.
And I can tell you that I cannot imagine any intelligent human being who had my knowledge who would not be 100% supporting cannabis and out there fighting for our freedom to use it. And that brings up a topic that really bugs my butt. And that is, and keep in mind, I'm an old hippie, so I'm not a military person.
Right.
But what we have done to our veterans is an outrage, because the federal policies are basically, let's call it inadvertently, but nevertheless, designed to kill the veterans. Mm-hmm. That's a shocking statement, but sadly it's true. Mm-hmm. Because, first of all, we create these political wars that should never be happening in the first place, mm-hmm. because the world is run by cannabis-deficient people who are imbalanced in aggression mm-hmm. and fear and stress, so they're trying to control everything. Whereas, and I call them blips, backward-looking people. Whereas the forward-looking people, the more evolutionarily advanced people, as indicated by the history of humanity, mm-hmm. The endocannabinoid system in our brain has constantly increased. So whether you believe in evolution or not, it doesn't matter. When you look at the trail of humanity, you see this constant increase in these receptors and what they can do. It's my contention that our human brain could not have evolved without, in particular, with the CB1 receptor that's responsible for getting us high. Mm-hmm. And the absurdity to live in a world and a nation that has outlawed euphoria. I mean, look up euphoria. It means feeling good.
Right.
Well, what kind of idiot would pass a law to outlaw you feeling good? I mean, this is the height of stupidity. But right. Now that we know what we know, when these laws were passed, there was the typical political crap going on, this side or that side fighting for some kind of typically greed or power.
Right.
And the consequence has been the production of these absurd laws that are not based on facts.
Exactly.
So when, for example, the International Singleton Treaty was signed in 1961, we didn't know what the psychoactive ingredient in cannabis was. We didn't know there was a molecule THC.
Right.
That wasn't discovered until 1964. Mm-hmm. So here we have all of the nations of the world blaming everything on cannabis. It's the gateway drug and all this crap, which is exactly the opposite of the truth, because what we see is people getting off narcotics, getting off opiates, getting off alcohol, getting off antidepressants, because when your body becomes healthier and your mind and body become more in harmony with the creative force, God, if you'd like, that has created us, then we are healthier and our minds are healthier, and as a consequence, our societies are healthier. And that's what we need right now, because our society is so sick. When you look at our financial institutions, when you look at our military institutions, and the fact that we spend, so much money to protect ourselves from other insane people like us, when there's no need for any of this, if people would learn to be cooperative, which is in fact the nature of the physics that has created life and evolution, it's cooperativity on a molecular level. And somehow people have gone awry from the source of our creation, really.
I agree.
And in doing that, we embrace fear and ignorance and violence as opposed to the alternatives of peace, love, and creativity.
I'm with you on that.
And that's what cannabis promotes.
Exactly.
And that's what the world is now undergoing, a global phase change. What people don't understand, and a lot of people will not and will reject what I'm about to say, but essentially, the world is one big chemistry set, and it started over 4 billion years ago, and that reaction has continued and has led to increased complexity that was the prebiotic soup that got complex enough that we had what's known as a far from equilibrium phase change, a rearrangement in the organization of the molecules powered by the flow of energy coming from the sunlight and the geothermal energy and chemistry of the planet. And that led to the evolution of life. And what life does is it keeps squeezing more intelligence out of the collection of this reaction. And we are the high point of that intelligence, no pun intended with high point, but in fact, it's our endocannabinoid system, again, through its regulation of metabolism that has allowed for the evolution, or if you want, the placement of man on the planet by God. It doesn't matter. Right. The cannabinoid system has the same role regardless of how you want to say we got here.
Exactly. Hey, Dr. Bob.
Universal.
Exactly. I'm going to have to hold you for 1 second, okay, because Andy needs to take care of a little bit of business here, but please don't go away because I'm not even done.
Got a lot to cover here, but I got to take a break. 22 minutes.